The world can seem upside down at times, which has set me on a journey in search for love, truth, and ultimately personal freedom. I'm on a mission to help people find peace and healing so that each of us as individuals and ultimately the collective can be free from whatever keeps us stuck and skews our view of just how beautiful this life can be. Welcome to the Mack Show. Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to another episode of the Mack Show. I am Mack. Thank you for joining. I'm really excited. This podcast episode is really beautiful. I reconnected with a friend from high school randomly. I mean, absolutely randomly. I was asked to join a business podcast a few months back, and the host of the podcast wasn't the person who invited me onto the podcast. And the host happened to be Krystal Bronson, a dear friend. And we reconnected, and it was so beautiful. And she has such a passion to bring mental health to the forefront of our conversations. And this episode, she talks about that. She talks about her journey, her own struggles. And it's something I think everyone's going to relate to. It's a beautiful conversation. Krystal is beautiful inside and out. And I'm so honored to bring her on the show. Well, brothers and sisters, like I said, I am thrilled to introduce Krystal Bronson to you. Krystal has been a friend for a very long time, since we were 16 years old, and we recently reconnected, and here we are. Krystal, thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, Lucas. I'm so excited, and reconnecting with you has been amazing. It's just been really fun, and like to see how you've grown, and you're an awesome person, always have been.
Thanks. Well, you are too. We were talking about, you are in some memories and stories that I have of like some funny things that I did in school, and I tell my kids, and we had some laughs. We had some good time in school back in the day.
Definitely, especially like for what our Christian private school was.
Yes.
It was funny. You were funny. Harmless fun.
Harmless fun. I felt like it did not fit in. I went in 1 year, and then it was a wild experience, but look what's come from it. Here we are. And how wild, again, like I was on that, I guess, podcast or webinar, whatever it was, and then there you were. That's really beautiful.
That was crazy. I will never forget when my friend was like, "Hey, Mack," and I was like, "Wait, what? I know Lucas. Like, you don't know Lucas. I know Lucas."
It's amazing. It's amazing.
What a great conversation that was.
Oh, that was beautiful. Well, I'm so excited to have you on. First of all, before we even get into all the real fun stuff, why don't you give background of a little bit of your life and how you even got into, because I talk about in the intro, you're passionate about this documentary series that you're going to bring into the world, but I don't know, give us some background on you.
Me?
Yeah.
Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. That's me.
Perfect.
I would say I'm a little bit of organized chaos, a walking contradiction at times. I always say that every time I've had a plan for my life, God is like, yeah, maybe not so much. We're gonna go this direction. And I've learned how to roll with the punches. I grew up, with, I would say, some family challenges. My biological father and he's a very challenging individual. We don't speak since I was 17. So on and so forth. And when we were younger, mental health and different things were kind of not really discussed. And I went through my bouts. My career has been all different kinds of directions, and then my life as well. And I went through my own mental health battle. And I feel like what I went through, I didn't go through for no reason. And I met some very interesting people along the way. And so it's kind of like brought me full circle to where like I feel like it's not just me that has like a life story. Everyone has a life story, right? We all think we have this great life story, let's be real. But I just feel like I've been blessed to be in certain situations. I mean, I filmed a TV show at one point in time.
Mhm.
I have had a very different career path, and I worked for a wellness company, helping do wellness programs for corporate wellness. And that was interesting of work-life balance and seeing, different mental health issues arise because of work pressures or different things. And it's very uncomfortable for people to talk about it.
Yeah.
So here I am as just little me who got diagnosed with, misdiagnosed, put on a medication. It all the way went sideways. And I took these videos of myself when I ended up in a hospital, and I
Mm.
didn't know really why. And then I just feel like there's a reason, because let's just talk about it. And our
Mm.
world is really difficult. And I don't think that it has to be, your battles and the hardships don't have to define who you are. It's a part of your story. It's not your identity. And a lot of times I think we allow certain things to identify who we are, whether it be, a religious affiliation, a
Yeah.
political affiliation, or even as like, your ethnicity or whatever it is. Like if you allow, or I have anxiety,
Mm.
like, okay, or that's not who you are,
Right.
right? Like,
Right.
and so it's like the labels. And so I found that I'm pretty open about stuff,
Mm.
but also it's scary to share because it makes people really uncomfortable.
Yeah. But you know
And
what
so here I am, just uncomfortable. Like, let's talk about it.
I love it. Good. Well, you know what I found is it's not that necessarily, I mean, yeah, people do feel uncomfortable, but it's not the uncomfort from hearing the story. It's the uncomfort because it's revealing something inside them that they've yet to address. And that's the big kind of secret of this whole human engagement that we have with each other. Every person carries pain. No one goes through this life without pain. And I was at lunch with the president of a fairly significant company today, and we were talking, and he had done all this research on me, and he's like, I had listened to your podcast, and he's like, the golden rule revolution, and he's like, how would you even apply that? How do you do that? He's like, I heard you talk about it's not government, it's self-governance. That's the rule. And I was like, I was blown away. This guy did a lot of research on me. But I said, at the end of the day, every human carries pain. And until we make that the forefront of our purpose to heal all pain and not compare or minimize or dismiss our stories, but say we are all here to acknowledge that pain, heal that pain, and break and shatter all cycles and all chains. I don't even know why that's not the truly, I'm walking around like I don't understand how that's not the norm. Aren't we tired of suffering? It's unbearable. But yet we keep putting the face on, the mask, the veneer, playing the game, speaking business language or doing the thing versus the like deep truth. So I don't want to go to tangent. I'm just sharing that I really believe that when people feel uncomfortable, it's not because when we share our stories that it's the story that makes them uncomfortable. I think it's what's unresolved inside them and it's stirring it up.
I think that's a very, very, very fair point. And I think that that's where you also come to a crossroads of doing the work and recognizing it is not something that a lot of people want to do,
Right.
because it's not easy.
Right.
Like, it's not easy. It's not easy to have to face and say, hey, this is not my most shining quality.
Right.
Why is this, and how can I try to move forward? As I always say, positive movements forward, even if it's a little one each day, like making your bed every day. Hey, there's
Yeah.
apparently studies that show that if you make your bed every day, you're more likely to be a millionaire. So make your bed every
Ooh,
day.
I like it. I like it.
But those little habits, positive movements forward. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
something huge every day, but those little things will start to stack.
Yes.
But unmasking, and let's be real, like now we live in a world of social media to
Yeah.
where it's comparing more than ever,
Right.
and we glorify a lot of different things to where I think we're a little lost as a society in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But, of like, where is that moral compass? I mean, how do we be kind to our neighbor, the sense of community. I think that's also a big part of it, like that
Yeah.
makes people uncomfortable because when you start talking about mental health, you have to look at the community around you.
Yes. Yes.
And like we want a recluse
Yeah.
and me. Like it's about me, right? But like
Right.
that's not what our world was built on. Our world was built on community.
Mm.
So maybe that's why we're upside down. Oh my gosh, I just thought about that. Maybe that's why we're upside down, is because now it's just become very selfish,
Yeah.
and that lack of community has completely flipped how we operate.
Well, like literally the M is the upside down of the W. So me versus we. I mean, it's literally even the language that we share. It's I was listening to this podcast the other day because so often I think, yeah, social media and the projection and the veneer and the thing that everyone's going to put their best foot forward. And I've even found that people that are trying to, I'll just say, there are people that manipulate with like crying also on social media and like make it look all like, oh, you just captured you're okay, like right, right. And I'm not saying maybe they did, but most likely I look at that and I'm like, is that authentic? But there's this projection on social media, but really what we're wrestling with is the algorithm. It's like
Mm,
the projection is just the fruit of this digital. It's
mm.
truly the matrix. I mean, it is
Yes.
literally is a confined construction of a mental prison we found ourselves in, and then the algorithm keeps doubling down. So if we feel a certain way and we're watching, it will just it, it just doubles and doubles and doubles down on that. And I'm not sure how we break it, but I do know that it has to be broken. The spell has to be broken so that we can finally have these beautiful conversations that aren't glitzy and like, hey, rah rah, but real.
And I appreciate it, and I think people try, right? Like I don't think we're the only two people in the world trying. Like there are people. It's just how do you turn it into, a movement? And there was a show, I think it was released back in May of 2021, I want to say. The Me You Don't See. It was
Mm,
big production, Hollywood production. And a lot of the stuff that's said in it, like I 100% agree with. Like if we invested as much into our mental health, right, as we do our physical health, the
yeah,
world would probably be a better place. But that's very uncomfortable conversations to have. And there's not as many resources. We have more resources for addiction
yeah.
than we do mental health stuff, right?
Mm,
And also labeling it is, I think, tricky. The whole medication route,
yeah.
collectively, like what are your tools in your toolbox that you can use? Working out and like that is something like naturally that is not utilized enough. I don't know, it's a
Mm,
whole thing, right? But like how do you not overproduce something to show high functioning people, everyday people, right, that
right,
don't have access to these? I get to go away for a 30-day retreat or whatever to focus on on
right.
myself because that's not very realistic for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um, and like I'm a mom, my mental health struggles have impacted my kid and my relationship with my kid. And so, how do you even, I think that's something that gets lost. How do we have conversations with children
Yeah.
to let them know, like, hey, some of these things are not your fault, right? Like,
Right.
some parents have a harder time regulating emotions, some parents aren't as regimented and scheduled. Some parents recluse into the house because they have paralyzing anxiety, and so their kids aren't involved in activities. So how do there's just so many different layers to it.
Yeah.
Like, how do
Yeah.
you, community, again, I
Yeah.
feel like it comes back to that community piece. And how do you restore a sense of community in a world that is so separated?
Mm. I had a woman on who's running for a lieutenant governor in California just a couple of weeks ago, and we had a really cool conversation. And she said that neighborhoods are going away because we don't know how to be neighbors anymore. And I was like,
Mm.
oh, that's so good. We've lost a
Yeah.
sense of community because we don't know how to, in my language, I say be human. We've forgotten what it means to be human and how to be human. We've fit into these processes that produce outputs that aren't of our own choosing, neither of our own benefit. We just are, I hate to use the word cogs, but it's so often it feels like we're just being plugged in to a system. And I think part of the journey that we're all on is answering this existential question of what does it mean to be human? Like, what, I guess, how would you to answer that? What does it mean to be human for you?
For me, it's like compassion, right? Like
Mm,
your compassion, kindness,
yeah,
being authentic, like
yeah,
not everything's not always going to be perfect and being able to recognize that, and
yeah,
I think like, I don't know, human nature for me is like help thy neighbor. And I
yeah.
really feel that like to my own detriment, sometimes I really I've always just lived by that. And,
Mm,
you know, I don't know if it was the 13 and a half years at Christian private school that really like pounded that into me and it really
yeah,
stuck with me and gave me this foundation. But
yeah,
I also just feel like that's my true heart, like I don't feel the need to, if I do something for someone, to broadcast it all over social media, but it's like you can see people like and I feel like also, again, maybe good or bad, I maybe attract some of that to me of people who maybe need a friend or
mm,
need someone who will show up for them,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I think that's being a human. You show up for other people. It's not just about yourself.
right, right.
Like kids don't go play anymore. You have
Mm,
a scheduled play date, right?
mm,
Like they don't even have, I read an article about how children now, and it's a detriment to how they're developing and their development, is everything is so structured. It's
yeah.
structured playtime. It's overseen by an adult. It's a sporting, everything is very structured and they
Mm,
have very little unstructured playtime anymore. And so they don't learn that natural conflict resolution. They don't learn rejection or acceptance in a natural way of how to navigate it and figure it out. And yeah, sometimes it's hard,
yeah,
but everybody's, not a winner. Not everybody gets a trophy in life. You got to work hard for that.
right.
And we bred a culture of like, hey, everybody's winner. Like, well, no, that's not real life. So that when they get onto the real world, then rejection becomes detrimental,
Yeah, and devastating. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
And I mean, let's talk about that football player that just, ended his life,
right,
right? Like the pressure and what everybody seems, right, would be in this, like, he's wonderful. Everything's probably perfect in his life.
right.
No, like, and where do people have a safe outlet to go?
Mm,
That's what being human is, like providing a safe space for another human to be able to be a human with you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And just
Like,
holding space. And sometimes it's not even saying anything, just being there.
yeah,
Yeah,
hugging someone. Like, teachers aren't allowed, and I get it, there's a lot of weird stuff in the world, but like
yeah,
if you're an adult and you go to hug a kid sometimes, like a hug,
yeah.
like a hug is just like such an easy, like, hey, I'm here for you. It'll be
Mm,
okay.
yeah,
There's someone with you.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
that just like little gesture is so lost anymore.
Hmm. Have you, um, I don't know, are you seeing that more like we're having this conversation and we reconnected and my heart is to see these type of conversations to become mainstream and that humanity heals and then we do start a movement. But are you seeing that these type of conversations are happening more or not so much where you are?
I think where I am They happen, but they can take a lot of different directions.
Hmm.
And I'm in Seattle,
Yeah.
so there are a lot of topics that are very, very touchy,
Yeah.
that are, very fine line. There's a lot of things, that we're in cancel culture.
Yeah.
I don't really believe in cancel culture. I think that you should be able to have an opinion and it's safe to have opinions. And if we have differing opinions, that's okay. Maybe shed light on how you feel
Yeah.
and we can have an intelligent conversation about it. It doesn't mean I have to hate you. And
Right.
even if we
Right.
agree to disagree, that's okay too. I don't have to hate you as a human being.
Right.
Like, I think that's part of being a human too, is like,
Absolutely.
okay,
Absolutely.
we can have a difference of opinion, doesn't mean I can't stand you.
Right. It is so
But
interesting. I have to say to we left Seattle, when we come down to Texas, and I cried. I got really choked up when we flew down here to check it out because everyone's happy. We went to this Oktoberfest and everyone was just, it was normal. It felt like the 90s. That's how I described it. It felt like the 90s. I'm like, what is going on? Kids are happy. People are talking. Everyone's just like moving around. And I'm like, how are we the same country? And that's what made me cry. I was like grieving for we think we're all the same. Unfortunately, the environment so often dictates everything, our environment in the home, our environment where we go to
Mhm.
work and school, and then also just living in. I do know it's very dense up there, unfortunately, and but you're there and you're keeping the light going, and sometimes you just need someone to come alongside you and give you the hug and say keep shining.
Some days, like, because, but yeah,
Yeah.
some days it's unpopular. And I feel like, again, we're in like weird, like time warp of stuff. Like, I would love to go back to our childhood.
Yeah.
Like, I really, like, I think that we had it pretty darn good in a lot of ways. It was
Mhm.
simpler.
Yeah.
Um, but it's also interesting because we experienced that. And now as we're shifting to this other, we have had to like grow with it to a certain degree.
Yeah.
So I feel like our generation is a very interesting piece of the mix in this, like
Yes.
how we've transitioned into it. Some of us have adapted better than others. Like, I have some friends that think I'm a lunatic when it comes to social media, and I don't even do that much at all. Like, I make a couple of reels of when I travel here and there, and they're like, "Oh," and I'm like, "No," but it's just because I went into tech, so I've stayed up, and
Yeah.
they went into different fields that it's just not a part of their world.
Right. Right.
Now you have 20-year-old kids that literally like go to a trade school and are running their entire business and have a full-blown, like,
Yeah.
very successful company that they're self-employed in. Like,
Yes. Yes.
that was unheard of. That was not a part of the script when we were growing up. Like,
Right. Right.
so to a certain extent, I admire them in the fact that they just kind of go for it.
Hmm.
Like, hey, I'm gonna do it. And I feel like we kind of overthought stuff to it. I did.
Yeah.
Definitely overthought it. Like, oh, what are people gonna think?
Yeah. Right.
Like, oh, I better go to college.
Yeah. That was like I mean, I never even contemplated not going. It like just didn't even seem like that was an issue. And now I'm like, I tell my kids, like, I don't really want you to go unless you're going to go specifically for a degree that like an attorney or a doctor or an engineer. I'd rather you be an entrepreneur. I'd rather you make your money, like go into vocation, like learn something now. Um, and things are changing. But for you, what you when you're in the hospital and then the misdiagnosis and all the things that like what was your personal awakening process to even bring mental health to the forefront?
I mean, I struggled with mental health for like a long time. When I was in college, I, was really down. And I look back at journals I had when I was a kid, and I was definitely a very deep thinker,
Mhm.
like, whoa, some of these writings, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, let's not let anybody get a hold of this, like very expressive in my journal.
Uh-huh.
Um, and now, older, I'm ADHD, and my ADHD wasn't really addressed. And so
Right.
it manifested and presented as depression and anxiety.
Yeah.
And back in 2015, I had some life stuff that just went crazy. So I went and saw a therapist, and they had me on a ridiculous dose of an antidepressant, and it just went crazy. But I've always had
Mm.
these different moments in my life about mental health. But it was after I got out of the hospital and I just knew I could not under and it was like the craziest thing of how I ended up in the hospital. I was like getting off this medication. I had gone through withdrawals, and like all of a sudden I had like this episode, ended up at a behavioral health unit. Like if you
Mm.
would have told me that that's where I was going to end up, never in a million years. And there's
Yeah.
probably a lot of people there's probably people that like don't even know that about me, right?
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
took me a long time to get strong enough to just be able to say that.
Mm.
Um, but I saw a lot of different people and situations come in there. And I remember being in there and just like looking around, and I took notes on people and wrote down people's names and like what their thing was. And I really tried to like learn people. And, it was sad almost when a couple of people left. And I
Mm.
think that when I was in the hospital and getting out of it, when I got out of it, the dad was released from the hospital. My son's father filed for full custody. And I think that was also a moment where I realized, like, wow, there's some people that really don't get it and don't have a certain compassion around it and aren't a human.
Yeah.
And I always want to be like a human and an advocate for this. Cause, I saw people from like a mom in there who was really battling postpartum, and they had put her on an antidepressant, and it made it even worse. And she became like suicidal, right? There was someone
Yeah.
who was a high up at a very large Seattle company, and they were transitioning, and
Mm.
the stress and the hormones and the this and that had like landed them
Wow.
in this behavioral health unit. There was also a man who was an old jazz player with, dreadlocks down to his ankles,
Wow.
and he was carrying papers with him. He had lost like a lot of his family, and his story was like you could tell he had gone in and out, in and out, in and out of, the system. And
Mm.
I'm lucky. I've definitely had a suicidal moment, and I just my son is a huge like driving factor, but I don't ever want to like have that pressure on him,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I think coming out on the other side of the hospital, realizing like, oh my gosh, doctors don't always know best, right? Like advocate for
Totally.
yourself and for
Yes.
your care.
Yes.
I think that's a big piece of it. And that was something I learned the hard way. Like,
Mm.
and I have learned how to advocate for myself and also different. And I went into intensive therapy, and I really like, I worked hard, and
Mm.
I still work hard every day to never go back there.
Yeah.
But I think it's also, again, advocating for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like,
Right.
I now know, like, yeah, if I'm not managing my ADHD, and and I know when I'm on tilt, I'll be like, oh, we're going on tilt. We're kind of, oh man, everybody better look out. We might have a whole new project coming. Who knows?
Love it.
Are we making candles? Are we making shirts? Are we doing a TV show? Like, what's going on? Who
I love
knows?
it. I love it.
But and like embracing it. And I think
Yeah.
now, like looking back and realizing like a lot of these, it's been interesting even with family. Like
Mm.
a lot of things that you were told as a kid, you're dramatic, you talk too much, don't pay attention well. Here I
Yeah.
am,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
okay. And some of those are like my absolute
100%.
superpowers. Like there are things that I can do that people without ADHD, I bet they can't do it. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And make it your superpower, but there are things that I struggle with, and I recognize that. And I think it creates challenges in, relationships, in my relationship with my son.
Mm.
Um, and recognizing that I think is a hard part of it is like, and being able to say, hey, there's some challenges that I have, So I want to put them out there on the front end so that you're aware,
Yeah.
because I can work really hard, but there are certain things that are always like,
Yeah. Might feel bigger than you. No? Yeah.
yeah. And I think that allowing people that space.
Yeah. Yeah. You said being too loud. I wrote this song the other day. I was just thinking about just my childhood, and the hook is everything I did, I tried to always make you proud. You gave me pain in return for being too loud.
Mm,
And it felt like that was such the theme of um
mm,
we were too loud. We were too, I really believe, and I would say this for you, I believe this for myself and so many others, that we entered these family lines to break the cycles. And we didn't fit in, and we've never really fit in. And I know, I know you, we've always like, we fit in, but we don't really fit in, because we roll differently. I don't know. We see things differently just in your own journals as a child. You're like, yeah, it was really deep. Like, I think our souls came in incarnated to do something very big, and the family structures that we came into, it was too much.
yeah, I would say, very fair.
Yeah. And
Um,
we were told not to cry. We were told to stuff it in, tough it out, suck it up, uh, work harder, study more, keep going. Like, and I've reflected because I have three daughters and one son, and I've had to reflect even for me of what's balance, what's balance, because I want all my children to be self-reliant, sovereign, uh, able to speak their voice freely without any reservation. But I want my son specifically to be strong. I want him to be tough. I want him to be able to be resilient. I want all my children to be resilient. And I want them to be able to cry. And I want them to be able to express. And I've had to go on this journey because so much of my own healing I mean, I could mask it and outrun it and outperform it and look good and talk and all the things until I started having kids. And then when I started having kids, I couldn't bathe my firstborn for 3 years. She was 3 years old. I never bathed her one time. I couldn't be around. And I never talked about it. My wife was like, "Oh, what happened?" And we just, I don't know, just didn't talk. It was just kind of everything was Jedi Knight tricks. Like, these are not the droids you're looking for. And like, oh, these are the droids I'm looking at. And you're like, no, they're not, And I guess that's why my heart is so much. I just want people to, you said, feel safe. Just say it and be it. And it's
mm,
okay. It's okay that you can go on tilt. Awesome. As long as you're around people that you can be a safe space to bring you back and you can bring yourself back, or I cry, or that's the fullest expression of being human. It's not being perfect. There is no such thing.
yeah, no,
No.
far from it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Far from it. I think too, um, like I said before, like a lot of my plans I had for my life didn't quite go as planned. I mean, I got pregnant on birth control, right? Like
Yeah.
that was not planned. Um, and it really, I had to, I grew up with my kid, and that's actually a reflection I've had
Hmm.
recently, is that, there's this part deep down inside of me that almost feels like bad a little bit, because I
Hmm.
feel like, if you have would have I waited to have a kid later in life, I feel like I could probably would have been more intentional. But I feel like for the majority, well, actually, let's be real, his pretty much his entire life, it was like survival mode.
Yeah.
And career choices became stability. Like, what is going to allow me stability and also allow me to be the most present for him and be very involved. I was the art docent of his classroom. I was throwing the school dances in middle school.
Yeah.
I could not be involved in my kids' stuff and volunteer.
Right.
And so it's like he just recently went off to college, and the last year of my life has been like almost that whole question of who am I outside of mom? And
Mm,
what does the
wow.
next chapter kind of look like? And even his and my relationship and the dynamic of it were really close, but he'll challenge me, and I feel like I've done a good job because he'll talk and he'll definitely challenge me. Um, and sometimes that's hard when you have your own kid who probably knows you better than anyone on this planet,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
telling you stuff about yourself. That's a different kind of reflection that I've had to
Mm,
process and adjust to, but it's been, I think, good, you know?
yeah. Yeah.
Not easy. Some days are really hard. He's strong.
Well,
Um,
yeah, he broke even birth control. Like his soul really was supposed to come in. Seriously, I really believe that.
I do too, and I know he was meant to be here, and like he's
Yeah.
special, and like that's the thing too. I think also about myself is I've always been told, probably like you don't quite fit in with the family, and you're a little too much for them, and you probably
Yeah.
have people who tried to like even for lack of a better word, hate on you.
Yeah.
But then you probably had people like, oh my gosh, you're a shining star. And I
Yeah.
had people in my family. I had one side of my family that was very different. I like my mom and her side is quite wonderful, and like my step family's wonderful.
Mhm.
My biological father's side, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even, aunts and uncles, I was always the loud, I'm
Yeah.
kind of outspoken, whatever. Um, oh my gosh, here we go with my ADHD, like boom, boom, boom.
No, no,
See
you're
my thoughts
wait.
going all over. But I just think that as I've kind of grown older, changed, I realized like, wow, intentionalness with your kid is something that I look at my friends as parents who have had older kids and how intentional they are. And like, I'm like, wow, they're really good parents. And I know I'm a good mom, but I know that I probably could have been a better mom if
Mm,
I wasn't in full-blown survival mode myself.
mm,
And sometimes I do feel like a little bad, but
mm.
I also know we made the best of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta share this with you. I don't know. I don't think I've shared this with you. I've shared it a few times on the podcast throughout the years, but I was at a um plant medicine retreat one time. But in this particular plant medicine retreat, I had this vision. It was so real. I could draw it out. It was as if I saw you and I right now talking. Like I saw clear as day, and I had been wrestling with the law of free will because
Mm.
I was born dead. I was breached, umbilical cord wrapped around my neck. I wasn't breathing for a few minutes, and they declared me dead. And then, I mean, I'm like, I came into this world, pardon my French, but it fucking sucked, getting abused and like all the things. And I've had this like very difficult and challenging life, and it's been this duality between putting the veneer on for survival, making everything look as perfect as possible and my insides completely dying. And I've wrestled with this law of free will. Are we free? Is there free will? And there's a lot of philosophers have talked about these things, but this one plant medicine um, retreat I was at, I'm thinking about the law of free will, and then all of a sudden I like go up like way high into I don't know space. I don't know. All of a sudden I'm right next to God. And God and I are looking down at conveyor belts as far as I can see to the left and as far as I can see to the right. I don't know, millions. I have chills right now for whatever reason. It was just so, and all these conveyor belts were going towards this giant light. And when the movie Soul came out, I don't know if you've seen Soul by
Yeah,
Pixar.
yeah, yeah,
It came out like 5 years after my journey, and it was. I mean, I was like, I have chills again right now. It was so bizarre. I saw this conveyor belt, only it was a conveyor belt of going in, not leaving. And so I saw every conveyor line had bodies just stacked as far as I
Mm.
could see. And God, he's to my left, I'm to his right, said, choose. And when he showed me that I could choose and jump into any body anywhere on that conveyor belt, I also was shown the ripple effect that it not only had on that line, but the
Oh.
ripple effect on every other conveyor belt. So he showed me that the stillborn child that goes and dies breaks the heart of the parents, obviously, but impacts that nurse. The nurse then becomes, it changes, and the ripple, we all are one interconnected experience.
Mm.
And it showed me that my dad played the devil so that I could be the light, meaning I wouldn't be who, so he actually, and this is what's like set me free to forgive because in order to do what he did, I wouldn't be who I was. So if he was given the law of free will to actually be that darkness, then he actually, in a way, chose in a loving way. This is so weird. I know it's wild to think
Right.
of,
Yeah.
but ultimately, the law of free will always existed and that we chose these bodies. So I think I hear the story of your son breaking even the birth control I don't know, prism law that, we think, and he breaks through that because his soul chose. And you guys are on
Mm.
this healing journey together. And I want humanity to see that when we can understand that the law of free will has always existed because God is love and God says, go, choose, be. And then we return back and say, God, you're not gonna believe what I freaking learned. Like it was nuts. Like I got this happened, and it was painful. And I think that's the whole point of this experience is like we just go through this to return back to source and be like, wow, wow, wow. I don't know. I just wanted to share that with you because I think
I
you're on this beautiful journey and the timing is perfect. You're not late and you haven't missed anything. You're like right on time. And I think that's what you need to hear and so many people need to hear.
I appreciate that because I
Mm.
think, yeah, I do need to hear that. And I know there's other people that need to hear that.
Mm.
I even have a cousin who it's like her life was lived kind of by a checklist. I
Mm.
always tease her, like, you should have gone into the military. Like, you would have been like top notch. You would
Yeah.
have been killing it, right? She probably would
Yeah.
have been like running the country's military at this point because she's just
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But she very much a checklist for her life, and she did her checklist, and then it didn't quite,
Mm.
turn out exactly how she wanted. And I would
Yeah.
say, and I don't know if this, I know that you've lived a very dynamic and you've lived a hard, but you've lived a blessed life. And I
Mm.
would say the same for myself. Like I've had
Yeah.
some experiences that just like, what? How was I sitting in that room with
Yes.
those people soaking up that knowledge?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I had no business being on a TV show that randomly happened. I didn't try out for it. I didn't fill out an application. You know
Yeah.
what I'm like?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just certain like weird little blessings and like surreal things that don't just
Yes.
happen seem to
Yes.
happen.
Yes.
And I know that when I really put my trust in God and I just, you know what, okay, and I'm here.
Yeah.
Let me be your light. And there's a song right now that I love, this worship
Mm.
praise song, The
Mm.
Light. And it just resonates because I do. People like yourself, like
Mm.
you're meant to be a light. Like I think people that, went through things, went through it, so then they can be more human. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
maybe that's why, because we've experienced life, so it makes us more human and we know like, well, we wouldn't want anyone to have to go through that or to feel that,
Yeah.
right? So we can
Yeah.
break maybe those cycles or be a voice for people who don't necessarily have it in themselves because we're all built different. Not everyone is meant to have a loud voice, right? Like some people just need someone to advocate for them,
Yeah. That's right. That's right.
and maybe have those conversations for them or draw those conversations out because those are scary for them.
Right.
And I think that there has to be, guides and vessels, right? Like not judging. That's why what
Yeah. That's
Jesus was
right.
with, Jesus went and washed the feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Jesus
Yeah.
was with people who everybody stayed away from.
Right. That's right.
And like, how do you have an impact if you only stay with like-minded people, right? Or if you're not just living in a certain way. Like if you just show up to church every Sunday or you present something on Instagram, but then behind the scenes you're a horrible individual, then what's your impact going to be? I mean,
Yes.
not talking about Diddy,
I have this
like,
crazy story to tell you. So, and I not didn't trying to defame this person, but so I don't even know why I was doing some marketing videos for Brian Duncan, this like Christian singer from like our childhood, and
mhm.
his cousin introduced us, and his cousin was a pastor, and I don't know, I was asking him all these questions about the Christian music industry, and I'm sitting, and this I love Brian Duncan actually, I had a great time with him. And this is not the point of my story, it's another singer. But my meeting with Brian Duncan, I sat with him for 3 hours the first time we meet in Redmond or
Wow.
Bellevue somewhere, and he smoked an entire pack of cigarettes. And he was like smoking them down to these stubs and then stacking them along the table we were sitting at outside. It was really cool. I'm like, man, this guy's awesome. It's just the way he was smoking them. But that's not the point of my story. His cousin who introduced us said that he had never been cussed out worse by anyone than Rich Mullins, the guy who wrote Our God is an Awesome God, right before he went on stage to sing that song. And I was like, no way. Taking it, not
Yeah,
making,
but
Rich look bad, but that's a lot of that world is like projecting one thing and behind the scenes it's so different. And I guess that's for all of us. It's living a congruent and aligned life, I think is the highest expression of truth. And that's not easy for I guess, is it easy? Is it hard? It just takes intention. And sometimes we're just not conscious of being intentional about it.
I think that is very well said. I think
Mm,
it's intentional, right? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
and I think for some people, like just being a good person takes more intention than others,
Yeah.
right? Like some people just, are more compassionate or humanized than others naturally.
Yeah.
So some people takes more intention.
Mm.
I mean, I know when I'm driving, I have to have a lot more intention with
Yeah,
my
totally.
patient.
For
So
sure. For sure. Yeah, totally. Um, what I think one of the things I've been curious about, I mean, you talked about you went to 13 years at a private Christian school, and it was an intense experience. Or my experience of going there 1 year was an intense experience. And you said God, I love talking about God. I love God. I am also not religious anymore. And the more I feel like we got to reclaim this word because it's been weaponized. But what's your journey with your like faith life and where you are?
So I think King set a foundation. Let's be clear. I
Yeah.
did not go there because my parents were like devout Christians by any stretch of the
Hmm.
imagination. My father wanted me there. It was like a status thing, I think, for him and maybe
Hmm.
competition with his brother. So yeah, it was not because we went to church every Sunday. I actually had a teacher there tell my family we're really praying for you guys.
Huh.
So but it was very, I felt like going to King's and I always challenged certain things there because it was it was a lot. It was, almost like certain things in the Bible being weaponized against you. And
Yeah.
I never really understood that because if I'm reading the Bible for what it is, like what you're preaching is exactly against what the Bible kind of says to do. So I had a lot of confusion, but I always liked church, but I always liked the singing.
Mm.
Right. And
Yeah.
I can take something, and I think that I enjoyed going to church because it was something that was never forced upon me.
Mm.
Um, I have felt very uncomfortable at some churches, like got real weird vibes.
Yeah.
Probably not good. There's a church that I went to that I was like, this feels like a cult. Like, what is happening here? Like,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is this is weird. This does, and it was again one of those very judgy, and then a lot about money.
Mm.
Um, I've been very angry with God
Mm.
many times,
Yeah.
questioned him. I've had these moments where I felt like, okay, maybe I'm reinventing myself again. My life's kind of falling apart. Like, what's happening? And I take these moments where I really sit back and I reflect and, sit with myself, like, look back, when are things going well? When are you thriving? When are you happy? Like, where do you want to be? And it always comes back to when I'm doing certain things for me. And
Mm,
I would say probably the word that you're saying is weaponized. I'm more spiritual
yeah, yeah,
than I am religious.
yeah,
And I also feel like I'm a little more accepting of whatever you believe in and whatever works for you. I'm not here to judge you or shove what I believe down your throat.
yeah,
Like, educate me on what you learn or what you believe in because I'm curious. I'm a
yeah,
very curious individual and I like to learn. Um, and I just feel like you can be a light if you're living your life in a way that's like, I don't know, Christ-like, God-like, whatever, because whatever you believe in, you're made in the image of that God is what it boils down to in most religions,
yeah,
right? So if you're
yeah,
living and you're made in the image of God, going back to the identity thing, let that be your identity
yeah.
versus first and foremost, and then all these other things. So if
Mm,
you're
beautiful.
living like Christ or you're living like God, then you should probably be a pretty good person.
Yeah,
We all falter, we'll never be perfect.
right, right.
Um, but be just like you say, be a light.
Yeah, yeah,
And it doesn't have to be a screaming one, the
yeah,
preachers that stand outside and tell people you're going to hell. Like, you're doing the opposite of what
right.
the goal is here.
And I feel like maybe we're going through this time, and this is a question because I would love to hear your thoughts, but I feel like we've been going through this time because there's been so many different lights or projection of light and like different paths. And it's like, well, if I hold up my cell phone, I could turn, the backlight on. I could have this light. If the room was pitch black, you would see this light. And I feel like maybe that's what humanity's having to go through right now is it feels like so much darkness so that we can really see what's the true light. Like and maybe the true light's within us that, God in that image is like, hey, I made you to shine. I didn't make everything externally has tried to snuff this out, but if you can just remember, I don't know, what do you think of that?
I think that's, I think it's fair. I think we are in a really dark time. I do
Yeah.
think that that could, I don't necessarily think that every person has a light to shine. I do think there are people that are just, and that's probably very cynical to say, but I've tried, and like, I have an individual in my life that I tried to be a light for a very long time, and
Mm,
it dimmed mine
mm.
trying so hard because, and I
Yeah.
believed so much that there was this goodness inside and I wanted there to be this goodness inside, and there's just not.
Yeah, there's not.
It was
I agree with that.
really,
Yes.
it
Yes.
was hard. And that's been a really hard thing actually for me to accept. And so I think that that is something to recognize because I think you're onto something. But I think that there are people that have darkness that is trying to
Yeah.
shine or dampen,
Yes.
and
Yes.
I really do believe that there is like, I don't know what it is, like a darkness or an evil, but, and it's like almost feel it more, but then I also see this, like, I don't know if it's a revelation happening with certain people, and I see more light coming forward in other situations. So it's a
Mm,
very interesting time. And like I said, I've always felt, in my spiritual journey, music. Like,
yeah.
I feel the most connected to God. I feel like there have been times where I've walked into church and I have no plan to go to church that day. And I wake up and I'm like, I feel like I should go to church today. And it's
Mm,
weird. It's like I was called to hear that sermon.
yeah. Yeah.
But a couple of weeks ago, I went to church. I had no plan. I couldn't sleep. And I went to 8:30 a.m. church. That's very unlike me in the first place.
Uh-huh.
I went and like I was sobbing in
Mm,
church, but not like a bad cry.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It was like the song that was on was basically like, I'm here with you. I'm a
Mm,
comforter for you. And in that moment, life has been lifing. There's been some challenges lately. And I was just like crying because it was just like, this is why I'm here. Like I knew I needed to come. And there's something about the music for me that
Hmm.
I feel very connected, and it always seems to like the lyrics, I seem to hit the right song at the right moment, or God sending me that, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And that's in life too. I feel like, and I kind of feel like you might be the same way. You're very musical. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
you write songs, like, let's be real. Where like music speaks to me
Yeah. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a lot. And I find music to be very like healing in a lot of ways. And I find music to be like a way that you can express yourself and sometimes you don't even know how you're feeling.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, because I think it taps into a frequency that sometimes we just don't have the words for, but there's an elevation or a lining to it. Um, no, that's really beautiful. And what's also beautiful is you honor and you listen to that voice. So if you feel like, hey, I should go, you go, and then there's the alignment and there's the confirmation and the affirmation.
Yeah. And I mean, there's days where I'm feeling some type of way and my music is just that. It's my praise and worship playlist and I am singing my little heart out in the
Mhm.
car. Like, and then who knows, the next day it might be some pop music or country or
Yeah.
might be some gangster rap. You just never
Yeah,
quite know.
that's right.
It's all
That's
about balance.
right. That's right. That's exactly right. You never know. You never know.
Just balance.
Um, that's funny. I love that. So this documentary and this docuseries that you want that you're going to produce, what do you hope is the outcome from it?
I want to start breaking the stigma around what mental health looks like.
Mm,
Um, and I want to show a diverse group of people who are high functioning individuals in society and wonderful people that you may or may not know have had some of the struggles that they do, and the work that has to be done.
yeah.
And I hope to be able to do it here in Seattle. And then my goal would be to take it to other areas of the country and do other seasons to see how different areas of the country and environment impacts mental health.
Mm,
Um, because
yeah.
I know a job can significantly impact mental health in different
Yes.
ways,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know? And I just I want to break barriers. And I think I also want it to be something that could be a tool of sorts for families,
Mm,
or even friends, any way to be able to break those barriers and add more support, not just for people who might experience more mental health struggles, but for their support systems and what does that look like? Because I think sometimes we forget that it's not easy
yeah.
for the support people. It's challenging. And
Yes.
so, like, how do you give them grace and allow them space to feel how they feel, in those moments? Because it can be challenging if you do have someone who's really, really depressed, like if you are the spouse or a friend, certain things you could take personal and it has nothing to do with you. It's really
That's
just
right.
all right here. And that's not easy to navigate.
Right. Right.
It's
That's really
not.
important. That's really important to say. It has nothing to do with them. It's not anyone else's fault. We just have to hold space or allow just being there and allowing them to go through that process. I haven't apologized to my wife this morning because work has been for me just gut wrenching ups and highs and lows and just so much disappointment and so much
Mm,
just on a global scale, this company and all, it's just been horrible. And so disappointing. And I finally apologized to her this morning. I said, I'm really sorry that my makeup is these lows.
mm,
And because she's known me, since we've grown up together and she's like, I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you. And I was like, I thought she was gonna say like, no, it's okay. And she was like, thank you. I was like, oh, but I'm glad I said it because yes, she has to experience my it's not always sunshine and rainbows. And for whatever reason, I'm not a robot. I deal with these emotions,
How
like,
dare you?
and I know I'm a human
How
going
dare you
through
be human?
this. Oh man. But to your point, like I'm the person that I have to remember it's internal, but I know now that it's impacting her who's, trying to hold space. So I think it's so beautiful that I'm going to do everything possible to support and bless it and see it because we have to break the stigma. And when you say mental health, what do you mean by mental health? This is something I wanted to ask you earlier.
So I think this is something that I want that would be an interesting conversation and to really dive into and explore, right? Because there are, I think, two sides to mental health where you have like your standardized mental health. I don't like to call them disorders, right?
Yeah,
Because I just think mental health challenges where true like because you can have depressive periods based on life, but then there is true like major depression to where like it is something your serotonin's off, your receptors are off,
yeah,
anxiety is a big one. Bipolar is one of the most overdiagnosed, you know,
yes,
challenges out there.
100%.
Um, there are certain ones I want to stay away from, like schizophrenia is not something I have any experience in, and I think that that one is very challenging to address. So if there was in another city or in another, season of it, if there was something that came up and the opportunity presented itself, great.
Yeah,
Um, but the common ones that
yeah,
borderline personality disorder, OCD. I am ADHD, OCD. My brain is in constant conflict. I have to apologize to my son all the time. Lovely, come home.
yeah.
He'll fold the towels and I love him, but I go back and refold them how I want them and place them
I
but I don't
love
yell
it.
at him.
Yeah, yeah,
It's,
yeah, yeah,
and I tell him, I appreciate you doing this. This is on me.
yeah,
This is all on me.
yeah.
And I also want to, of like, you can have periods of time to where like your mental is being impacted because of exterior factors. It doesn't mean that it was always going to be like this, and
Mm,
you might need some help now, right? Like there's
yeah.
traumas that happen. Therapy is not a bad thing, right? Like
No, no, it is
watching podcasts around mental, that's not a bad thing,
right.
right? But some people just even a safe place to talk to someone who's non-judgmental,
Mm,
like why do we not have more access to therapy? Why is it so outrageous? Why is it so hard to, those types of things to where
yeah.
I think mental health is two things. You have your mental health challenges, right? That sometimes require medication, more address it more and maintenance. And then you have these influxes of mental health situations
Mm,
that arise that can take you out. And you might have these episodes, where certain things are spiking, but it might not be something that's a long-term thing that you struggle with.
yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. That's really good. I love you.
Something.
Yeah, I do. I just want to tell you I love you. I'm so glad you came on and you're such a beautiful soul inside and out. You're really all the journey. You're just beginning. You're right on time. You need to hear that. You're right on time. And I remember seeing you in college, and we've just you need to know and hear and receive that you are a really beautiful soul inside and out, and you're doing exactly everything that's happened for you has happened for you. And I'm really thankful for you. I just want you to know that. So thank you for coming
You made
on.
me tear up over here.
Are you kidding? No, well,
Thank you.
the
Thank you.
last thing, no, seriously, thank you. The last thing I want to share with you is this photo. I was meditating. I don't sound like I'm like this guru, or not guru, but yogi or whatever. But I was in the mountains in near our house in Newcastle, and I was I was I would meditate on this cliff, and I'd sit there and pray, and I really had some beautiful meditations that I can remember and have stayed with me. But this one day in particular, I'm sitting there, and I'm just feeling like in the now moment. I was the observer. I was not projecting. I wasn't anywhere. I was not stressed. And I open my eyes and I look down to the left and I see this blade of grass pierce through.
Oh
this
my
leaf,
gosh.
and it had
My
grown
gosh.
through the leaf.
It's a
And I
dead
want to
leaf.
share this with you. A dead leaf had covered in the life penetrated it.
Wow.
This leaf was hiding that blade of grass. And I feel like it's so symbolic of like your life is like you feel like there's been something covering it, but it can't stop it. And you're right on time. I just want to share that with you. And thank you for coming on.
I love you.
I love
Thank
you too.
you.
You're amazing.
Oh,
And everyone, I'm going to put Krystal's information in the show notes and go love on this beautiful soul and let her love on you and follow her journey because this docu-series is it's going to touch a lot of life. So thanks, sis, for coming on.
thank you. I love you. You're the best.
I love you.
This
Thank
was so fun. Thank you.
Krystal, thank you so much for coming on. Everyone, follow Krystal. I'm going to put her information in the show notes. So make sure you go follow her, send her a message of encouragement. We're all going through it. These episodes are meant to encourage you wherever you are around the world. I know people listen all over the world, and whatever you're going through, the most important thing to remember is you are not alone. You're not. You're not alone. It might feel like you're alone. The world might seem insane, and all the things that are taking place, people might seem insane. And then it makes you feel insane because you're going through this journey and it feels like, why am I the only one going through it? You're going through it to learn to access the fullness of yourself. When you stop looking externally and go within, and I don't mean this touchy feely woo woo. I mean, literally look within you. Every door that's been closed, every blocked memory, everything that you are from birth to now has been a journey for you to reclaim the truth of who you fully are, who you really and truly are. So these episodes are meant to be a blessing to you. And I am so thankful that you listen and you follow along. I just pray that you receive more love, more light, more truth, and more freedom in these coming years because we're on an incredible journey ahead. I bless you all. I am Lucas Mack. This is the Lucas Mack Show, and I look forward to speaking with you on the next episode. Thank you for listening. If you're struggling to break free and need support, go to my website at lucasmack.com. There you'll find resources like videos and ebooks, and also information on how to work with me for coaching. Thank you again, and I'll talk to you soon.